Hello ladies and gentlemen, SeKo Starcraft back bringing you a Bronze League game for my good buddy IllmadicW, trying his best to get out of Silver. I think he's top 5 right now. He's either that or really close to number 1, something of that nature. But just can't quite close it out and get into that Silver. But regardless, he is a Terran going up against PlayaG up here in the top left, and I really like that name. It's sophisticated and classy at the same time. I'm having a wheat ale while I'm doing this, because I say why not. It is a Saturday afternoon. Seems like an appropriate thing to do with my time. So we're gonna have a chance to cast a little bit of what's going on here. We see a little bit of a bad choice in timing from Playa. He's wasting a bit of his chrono boost getting out his probe a little bit sooner than his pylon. So maybe he hasn't played a lot of protoss before, or he's just really gung-ho to max himself out in supply. Either way, I am fine with. Me and Will have been working on his opening build orders a little bit here to try to give him a bit better of an option. Working on the gas opening into a very safe strategy. Slightly supply blocked himself, but that's obvious because he had his supply depot on the way. William. Oh, for a second there I thought he was going to be going for a command center first and just screwing up everything we had learned together. One of the things we are trying right now, though, is him not walling off against Protoss, just to make sure he doesn't get hit by any kind of funky stuff. Regardless, the Protoss is going to see everything. I always encourage you to chase down that early Protoss drone there, just because it's too easy for that probe to leave a pylon or start cannoning you when you don't realize it, so you don't really want to have that happen. At home we have a gateway down, and no particularly important setup. Just making sure that if you came up here, you could easily snipe his pylon and, you know, depower his buildings. It's always really fun when you can get people to chase around your worker for a second there. Every now and then it works out really well. One of the things that I was telling William, and I'm going to give people a little bit of Bronze League advice as we're going through this, is that if you're scouting a Protoss player, there really isn't a specific valuable interest in scouting really early, because this is the most you're ever really going to see unless there's a proxy. What you want to do is scout right about when the cybernetics core is finishing up, because you can get past the zealot. You'll be able to see how many gas there is, and in this case 0, which is really strange to see happen. And you'll be able to see if there's enough pylons in the base. Now on the bronze level you can see there's already a weird number of pylons down here. But what you really want to be sure of is that there isn't a the second pylon is in that base, and not somewhere proxying something. Now William's actually going to go for a factory here. Looks like he wants to tech up into something a little bit different. Taking the watchtower. I think that's alright. Particularly if you're not too sure if aggression is coming your way. And right now, Will doesn't really know what PlayaG is intending to do with one gas taken and not being used. And one gas being built and ready to be used when it's done. That is super slick. You see the Protoss is getting quite a bit of money right now built up. It's actually going down to put on a little bit of aggression, it seems. One probe in this gas, 3 in the other gas. It all works out in the end. And he wants to go for really immediate pressure. This is super ballsy, considering the warp gates just started. So this absolutely has no bearing on what's coming back here, as Will goes into his 1-1-1. He's actually going to get widowmines down. Widowmines are nice. They're going to keep you alive against an oracle. They're going to keep you alive or help you take on any type of cheese rushes. This building placement I think is kind of funky. I usually like lining it all up because I'm a bit OCD. What the hell? Sweet. PlayaG, I like your style. It's absolutely terrible and god-awful. But I like it nonetheless. One gate delayed, warp gates into proxy pylon well before warp gates finished. Into hidden nexus on a map where hiding expansions is super tough. Looks like William wants to go for maybe a marine widowmine drop here, which is sultry. I think that's a sultry build. Keeping your head on a supply, it's a pretty nice build. I would say that getting down a bunker is always a nice thing to do. against a Protoss player if you're going to be going specifically for some sort of tech attack, because if this all leaves his base, he's left with almost nothing to defend his front. So that's why having that bunker down is sometimes the difference between life and death. There he goes. It's a nice slow load. And he's going to come right across the front. And he sees that on his minimap. So I don't know if we'll catch this. So we've got 2 Marines once again. And he's actually going to focus down this supply depot, which is pretty good actually. Will should be pulling some SCVs to repair that wall, but I don't think he was really expecting this. He is going to have to get that down. Burrow. This is going to hurt himself a lot. William. Just kill it. It's got like 2 hit points left. There you go. Good job. Couple Marines out. Where's that drop? Drop. The drop is just sitting there waiting. Finally, PlayaG is moving up into... Where's this going to be? 4 gates. Robo. This is the weirdest build I think I've ever seen. Burrow the widowmine. Burrow the widowmine. Hey, he actually moved his Marines out of there too. I'm unbelievably impressed. Now the medevac will actually help out quite a bit here with dealing with this. Back at home there's still 1 stalker. Oh, it's too bad the medevac wasn't in the right spot. But both of these widowmines are still here and there's no observer on the way. Good times are coming. How many kills? 3 kills? 6 kills? Well, down here, he's at least got his gas started. He doesn't have any workers to use them yet, but he's got that gas started. William is actually in a fairly standard position. Let's look at the unit stat here. 20. Blammo. 20 workers to 8. The difference is that his opponent will be getting out workers pretty fast with 2 nexuses at a time. William is getting his orbital started and moving into more barracks. You can tell he's a little bit flustered right now. Well, good timing on the observer. Now, if you're really slick, what you can do is scan and sometimes pick that observer off. But that's okay. That stalker might be able to kill both of those before they reset. Burrow the widowmine. Or run it away completely. Well, I like this. He is scouting for the natural. Burrow. Nice. There we go. So as no, did he scout that on the way by? He did. He did see the expansion on the way by. So let's see if Will's actually going to push out and do something about it. PlayaG is actually catching up in supply pretty quickly here. Even though he's making 1 worker at a time. William is sitting on 1,300 minerals right now. Double medevac production. Getting out the upgrades. Pushing down might not work super well right now. That widowmine will back him up, but these 2 Marines obviously are not going to be able to hold against this. PlayaG smartly doesn't actually chase into there. Pretty surprising. He has been chrono boosting out his workers, so it'll be a matter of time and he'll be ready to go for a second 4-gate attempt here. Now the Marauders, with the medevacs, would be able to beat this back. The difference is he should know that there's an observer here because that widowmine got sniped. Production is about to kick into 7 barracks. Oh, 1 base. Why not? I say. Now if we look at the economy, actually never mind, PlayaG is not that caught up. For some reason I thought he would be a little bit better off by this point. At least we're going to have a sick amount of production. Now, there's a bit of regret here. You can see these 3 barracks are not going to be able to be funded at all off of this current setup. Once this base gets down, though, I think William's a little bit afraid. But if you've got these medevacs and the Marauders here, you should feel fairly okay to push out and just see what's going on. Alright, let's see William get supply blocked and then kick this into high gear. Let's move that command center over. Get rolling. 1 person on 1 gas there. 3 total people in gas in this base, and he's made not a single additional worker. Still got this watchtower, which has helped him out essentially not at all in this game. And he's got about 4 mules ready worth to cast here, which will help him out a ton. We'll need to take another gas here pretty soon, though. We can see that minerals-wise, you can always look at what your current bank is right now and see where you're doing well. For instance, the protoss doesn't really need gas. You've got 1,000 gas, you probably don't really need to invest in gas. If you've got 7 barracks, and, well, you're banking up money, but you're not using them all, you probably don't need to start building more. So this is just William trying to spend his money in the best way, and these upgrades will actually be a more intelligent way to do that. It's always worthwhile if you're playing to go back over your base and look for things like these widow mines, look for idle units. Just get stuff out of the way to help you out. He is getting his gases, which is nice. It's very easy to forget about this energy if you're in the lower leagues, but 4 mules will do a ton for you if you have that opportunity. Particularly, you can even use the supply call-downs. Getting 3 supply call-downs will get you right back on track with your macro production here. Because William now working with 9 barracks. Yeah, if you could support that, which I don't think even 3 bases can support that super well, you will need that supply opening. Now, let's see what the heck PlayaG is up to here. He's got this base modestly saturated. He's got this base back on target, and he's got double upgrades happening for his warpgate. As this position, and you know that your Terran player is just turtling up and getting a huge baller army, you're going to need some sort of splash. So you've really got to use a little bit of this money and start investing in your tech, either your Colossus or your Storm, because you have gateways out, and you don't really have the economy, I think, to really support a lot of Colossus production. Getting Storm is probably the way I would go. Now you have to be careful. Your medevacs have a tendency to get out in front of your army. William has more than enough stuff to just... Oh, really? I'm okay with that. Don't boost. He actually does get out of there. He probably could have taken that fight. But I don't mind the coming back and regrouping. But you got to keep your production going. You can see that every time Will gets into a fight, he's got this huge bank that builds up. That's why you have these hotkeys. So that way all you got to do is click number 9. Oh, sorry, number 3. That's his hotkey for all of his barracks. And then just hit your A and your D button a whole bunch of times. And you shouldn't send out your weakened medevac as well. That is a way to end up unhappy in life. So finally he's getting his production back in order. Probably could stand to keep building workers. There they are. You'd be surprised how many workers it really takes. That's actually a lot of gateway units there. Oh, wow. I was about to say, his observer moved away. That's about to be really unfortunate. Taking out these observers is really important. Getting a turret at the front or using one of your numerous scans that Will still has would have helped out a lot. Now, you got to be very careful. It's very easy to leave these medevacs still full. See, I'm going to pause it for a second. If you have this opportunity, if a Protoss player is going very gateway focused, it's very unlikely they're just keeping units in their base, because they're going to be warping in units to whatever remote location matters. So what you should do with this stuff then is leaving it in a choke like this. Maybe later we'll snipe some probes as they run out of the base, but it really won't do you that much good. You might as well throw maybe 1 here if you want, and then 1 into the mineral line to chase it away. And it looks like that's what William is going to do, and we'll see if this pays off. The attack's about to happen at the bottom. Well, he's running away. Let's see. Well, he's going to make another observer, but he's got nothing in his base to actually hurt that. Alright, here's the attack on this side. William, I don't think he does not have Stimpack yet, which is actually a big problem. With the resources that William has, it's actually very important for him to consider keeping these upgrades going. He doesn't have any of his Tech Lab upgrades. He's built both of these and used none of them yet. Wow. That is a pretty big commitment into taking out an observer. Does have another base going. I do like that. And this here is just not mining anything. So, alright, yeah, if you do get this placed in your base, that is the smart way to go about taking it out. Just nice and patient. You can lose all of your probes to one bad hit, so. I don't think the observer is in range of the other widowmine. Now, once again, I'm going to pause for a second. As the Terran player, and you keep getting supply blocked, notice your energy on these bases. That's why it's very important to every now and then press number 5, cycle back into your command center. It's the same thing with your protoss and your chrono boost. Cycle between those every time you want to produce something, come back, click, 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 hit your bases and chrono boost things. Come back, it's macro time. Move around, drop some mules, move around, drop some mules. You've got that hotkey set up, so just move between your bases that you need to, and that way you'll remember to check your upgrade facilities and to see where your gaps are. It's just like, I don't know many of you out there who drive cars, but what you do is when you're driving is every now and then you just build this routine of checking the rear view mirror, checking the side view mirror, looking at the road, looking at your instruments, and you just kind of cycle between those regularly. And you got to learn to do the same thing as a Starcraft player, so that way you'll check the minimap, check your production, check your tech, and then check these buildings that are going to help you out. That's kind of something that's going to help you transition into being better, is just moving around gradually and seeing where you can spend your money wisely. See, for instance here, William should be able to see this on his minimap, even if he wasn't paying attention that well to what was going on. He is looking at this right now. His army, I don't think his whole army is here, but his army should be on hotkey 1. It should be easy to go 1, T for stim if he had it, and then just attack over there. And that would allow you to be more reactive to this kind of pressure. Particularly because you have medevacs out here. You don't really have to worry about taking a little bit of damage here and there. It's more about being able to commit to getting damage done. So this is more than enough. If you have those marauders, you have those medevacs, you have more than enough to go and take on this kind of army. Stim has finally started, combat shields, and the concussive shells all at the same time, and his upgrades. So it looks like Will did go home and checked out all those different upgrades and got that all sorted out. The choke does favor the Terran a little bit when it comes to these melee units, but since it's mostly stalkers, you want to get your army on top of theirs. So move forward. You can see a lot of units in the back for Will aren't shooting right now, and it's really costing him the opportunity to do a lot of damage. You have to be able to get next to a ranged army to do that damage at a bigger level. And William's had the army to win for a while now, and it's hard to really believe that at any point. He's going for a second robotics facility, so he can get double the observers. Obviously. Oh, it's because he needs an observer down here, and rather than just make one and send it down. That must be what he's up to. Alright. So I'm just waiting for William to finish off the game here. Once again, he's got all these mules to use. He's starving for minerals because he's got 11 barracks or whatever. And he's got 8 mules ready to call down. That energy, once it maxes out, you're just wasting money. That's why it's important to always use those. Unless you're going up against a really DT heavy person, then you might want to hang on to a few. But once that maxes out, you're just essentially losing money. Now this is a bit of an anti-timing for Will here. His upgrades aren't finished all yet, so it's his combat shields and concussive is at least. So he didn't really get the benefit of some of these different upgrades. His opponent was at 1-1. And PlayaG leaves as though somehow maybe he didn't deserve to lose that. But regardless, I think the biggest lesson I could take away from this game is to learn to cycle around your production facilities, your command centers, your nexuses, particularly if you have them hotkeyed. You don't really have an excuse not to use this energy or to not really be at full production the whole time. Being able to do that, once again, you come back to your base, oh, I've got idle workers, let's send them over. You'll get a chance to understand where you're at, and you'll become just that much more efficient in dealing with other players in your league. SeKo Starcraft, Bronze League game from IllmadicW. Hope you guys like that. I should have more from him coming up in the next little while.